I spit Patron on this microphone. Watch out, I'm in the zone. Work for everything I own. Life is March Madness. One mistake, then you go. Yeah, I had a stroke, but your boy still rhyming. And Fresh got love, but the squad still wildin'. Catch me in any city in the hood, we grinding.
The last topic for the Boxing Bros is going to be one that may get interesting. We'll see. The topic is, which fighter has the best chance of beating Canelo Alvarez? We're hearing Earl Spence talking about he wants a piece and he's willing to move up. There's Arthur Beterbiev, David Benavidez, there's Caleb Plant. There's all these names out there. And we want to know, and we're getting everyone's opinion to gauge, which fighter do you think has the best chance of beating the Canelo Alvarez or would even beat Canelo Alvarez? And I'm going to throw this to someone who I feel like should start it off, Ned the cameraman.
What's up, y'all? And Canelo, no introduction needed. You already know who this man is. And our only fighter that will beat Canelo in 2021 or in his career is Canelo. And that's if Canelo pulls a Mike Tyson where he just retires in the ring. It's like, I don't even want to box nobody no more. I forfeit the match. I'll have no more love for the sport. And that's how I only see Canelo losing to himself in this sport of boxing. And that's it. I keep it at that. That's it. I would say AJ, but I got some flack from a lot of the fans saying, man, stop with the AJ versus Canelo. But man, it may happen. Just watch. Just watch. I'm calling it.
So you turn it into Trill Nostradamus now.
I'm calling it.
All right, man. If it happens, we'll give you that credit. Oh, gee.
Yo, man, I've been saying this name for like forever, and I'm sticking to this. David Benavidez, bruh. I'm telling you, this dude is like, he's lengthy but quick with power. Canelo, yeah, sure, he did good with Mr. Smith, Callum Smith. He did good with Callum Smith.
Like 40 cal, brother. Like 40 cal.
He ain't no David Benavidez, bruh. Like, man, listen. I ain't even mad at what's his name? Caleb Plant for not taking that fight with David Benavidez, because David Benavidez is a certified murderer. Like, the dude is a problem. The physical attributes that he has in that ring isn't fair. And so Canelo's I think he's just too small for homie, And so, like, Canelo, as great as he is, again, great little guy. David Benavidez, to me, is a great big dude. And so I think he will punish Canelo Alvarez. And like I said, everyone else, honestly, I can see Arthur Benavidez beating Canelo also. But the other guys like Charlo, Plant, who else is in the running? Boo Boo, Billy Joe Saunders.
Billy Joe Saunders.
Yeah, I don't really see them like
Jamar Charlo.
Any of them could win, right? But we're talking about who has the strongest chance. I think the person with the strongest chance is definitely David Benavidez.
All right, Dollar Bill.
I'm with Ned. The only one
fighting AJ. He's fighting it. No. He's fighting AJ.
I'm with Ned. When Ned says the only one that can beat Canelo is Canelo. Canelo is great. I explained how great Canelo was last episode that we did. David Benavidez. We all just said that David Benavidez is a talented kid. David Benavidez got some questions. There's some questions with David Benavidez. You know what I'm saying? And he needs to answer those questions with Caleb Plant. There's no getting around it. These guys need to fight and get it on before they can even call out a Canelo, because they ain't worthy. Not yet. You have to earn the fight, earn the right to fight a champ like Canelo, unless you get a lucky pick. People forget that Canelo is a small guy. He should be 154. That's who he is, 160 the most. but he's going up to 175 and 168. Instead of us sitting here posing the question is who can beat Canelo?
It's like, don't forget 200.
It's like, what great fights could we make for Canelo? You know, I'm picking Canelo. If Canelo has proved that he should be given the respect, these guys is huge. These guys, the Benavidez, who his name is, what is he? Yeah, we got, what is he, 15 with 15 KOs, right? And he's a big guy. Then you got Demetrius Bivol with 17 wins and like 15 KOs, right? I'm going off the head with this. Then you got David Benavidez with, what is he, 23 fights with 20 KOs or something, I believe. I'm not sure. This is just me. These are all big guys who was not put in the work that a Canelo has. So everybody's going to pick up these big, huge challenges. Canelo can do what he want to do. And I think he has the right to pick and choose what he wants to do. If he wanted to, he can retire now and still go down as one of the greats. The Canelo got the world in his hands right now. Who can beat him? I'm not sure. I'm not sure who can beat him. He showed that he's special. Canelo showed that he's special. I'm not saying anybody can beat him. Because right now, he's my pound for pound #1 star in the sport. Viva Mexico.
All right. Trill sound like Roger Mayweather in this interview. It was so funny. And they were asking Roger, they were like, so who can beat your nephew? He was like, no one beat my nephew. He said, he was like, shit, you know, and he was like, so you're saying that nobody can beat your nephew? And Roger was like, not even him.
That's how I feel. I'm not putting in nobody, because I ain't seen nobody come close. The only person that beat him is retired. And there ain't nobody that came close to the skill set of that guy that retired. So I don't see nobody out there that remind me, that's in Canelo's range, that remind me of the great Floyd Mayweather. Let's give him his roses while he's still alive. The great Floyd Mayweather, Floyd Joy Mayweather Jr. You know what I'm saying? Let's give him his credit. He was the greatest of our era and the only person to beat Canelo. Canelo has learned from that and he's took Floyd's spot as the pound for pound king. And right now, I'm not going against it. I don't see nobody beating him. Because if he picks it, he must know that he can win. Viva Mexico.
So for me, I think it's an interesting question. Because Canelo Alvarez has accomplished a lot in the sport of boxing, and I think that he's elevated himself to new heights. However, you know, when you're forced to really sit down and think about it and say, well, who can beat him? You got to look at the history of Canelo. Now, although what I'm about to say, you have to take in consideration that this is a new guy. This isn't the same guy, but he lost to Floyd, who's technically sound. And like Trill said, you know, I think most people, including myself, would say he's the best fighter of our generation. And I think people get best and influential mixed up all the time. Like if someone says that LeBron James is better than Michael Jordan, people will point out him selling sneakers, but that's not about skills. That's about him having the influence and him having like branding power. So people want to buy sneakers, but that doesn't prove that he's a better basketball player. And just like Muhammad Ali, for example, if I say I think Floyd Mayweather is like, you know, the better than Muhammad Ali skill wise, I'm not saying he's more influential than Muhammad Ali. Exactly. Not even
we already know Muhammad Ali is a giant. He's the greatest. Muhammad Ali, greatest ever. For the things he did outside the ring.
Exactly. The only fighter that hangs on my wall, Muhammad Ali. So like, you know, you have to separate influential and great. Like, and so for example, I know a lot of Manny Pacquiao fans get mad when someone say that like Floyd's the greatest of this generation, but he fought Manny Pacquiao head to head and he won, regardless of what you may think happened or reasons why Manny Pacquiao lost, they fought head to head and Floyd won. Doesn't mean he's more influential than Manny Pacquiao. Doesn't mean he does more for his, doesn't mean he does less. It just means like, in the ring in a head-to-head fight, Floyd won. And that makes you better. Like, I don't know. That's the simplest way. And if Pacquiao would have beaten Floyd, I'd be right here saying that Manny Pacquiao's the greatest. When you look at Manny Pacquiao's career, it's one of the greatest ever. So that's no slight at anyone. But you pick one, you pick one. If someone told me they have, but I say all that to say, Floyd Mayweather beat Canelo Alvarez and is arguably the greatest fighter of all time, TBE, right? Then he fought Izarni Laura, and Izarni Laura won that fight in many people's eyes, and felt like he outpointed Canelo Alvarez. He did run, but he was effective in the fight. But Canelo ended up getting a close decision, but that was boxing and movement that gave Canelo trouble. Then there was Austin No Doubt Trout. It was another fight where Canelo Alvarez, gave away a lot of rounds, and it was a close fight, and you had people saying, they felt like Trout got the nod, some people. Then there was Danny Jacobs was able to give Canelo some issues in the ring. And so I think what you see is people feel like a boxer is what gives Canelo Alvarez trouble. So then who do we have out there like that? Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant. But again, are they the level of Floyd Mayweather? And even are they the level of Izarni Laura? Because remember, Izarni Laura is getting up there in age. So like the Izarni Laura that lost to Jarrett Hurd isn't necessarily the guy who fought Canelo Alvarez. And also you got to look at Izarni Laura was moving up in weight to fight Jarrett Hurd. So you got like, once again, that dynamic of a good little guy, moving up to face a bigger man. And it's just difficult. When you put size in, the bigger, it's we're talking about size difference where weight difference matters. We're not talking about like, 126 to 130. We're talking about like a huge jump. So who knows? But what I would say is this. I think if I would pick three guys who I feel like would give Canelo Alvarez the most trouble and possibly have a chance of beating him, just based on the type of fighters that gave him trouble before, like Floyd Mayweather, Izarni Laura, and Austin Trout, I would say I think Caleb Plant is one. I think Demetrius Andrade is one, and I think that Jamal Charlo is the other one. I think those three guys would give him the Benavidez fight. I know like G feels like, but I actually think Canelo is so much faster than him that I think he'd see his
not ready yet.
And I think he'll do to Benavidez what Floyd did to him. So
not ready yet for Benavidez. Not just yet. Not just yet. Benavidez need to go take on Plant. Are we any further questions? All right, that's it.
I love David.
Yeah,
make that happen. 2021. Hey. I want to see that fight.
I want to see that fight. David Benavidez and Caleb Plant. I think that will be the fight. I
can't feel my face when I'm with you, but I love it.
And you fighters need to understand, y'all don't call out Canelo. Canelo calls you. All right?
I like that, man. I like that. Please like and subscribe. Let us know how you feel in the comment section. And please check us out on Instagram and Twitter. No, for real. Check us out on Instagram and Twitter. And please check out our podcast on all major streaming services. I'm Trill Dollar Bill. That's Caden. That's G. That's Ned, the TBE. And we the Boxing Bros. Thank you for rocking with us.
We could have been flawless, flying up to make people's mouths drop jawless. How can 2 years be erased in 1 August? And you know I have my pride, so I had to get brolic. All in all, I can't call it. Just know you're my queen. Wish I was denim, cause then I be in your jeans. Can't fight fate, and you've been loving me since your teens. But when you can't move forward, you gotta wipe your slate clean.